Folks, we have another edition of the G4L podcast. Today we are joined by Christina Friscia. Christina,
Hey guys.
how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing? Happy to be here.
So I wanted to bring you on here. I know you actually are a bikini competitor. Am I correct?
Yep.
And you have been battling with endometriosis. Did I botch that pronunciation?
It's endometriosis. That's actually, yeah, a lot of people botch that pronunciation because it's not a super well-known disease yet. It's kind of getting out there and people are starting to kind of hear about it a little bit, but it's a mystery disease. So yeah, I don't shame you for botching that. It's a incredibly long, ridiculous word as it is.
So maybe you could tell us and anybody who's going to watch this podcast, maybe like how you've been dealing with that as far as like, has it affected you when you're competing in the competitions?
Sure. So I guess I might as well tell you the backstory of because like I said, endometriosis is a mystery disease. It's obviously a female disease. It affects the reproductive system and it has stages. So it kind of go like I was diagnosed with severe stage 4 endometriosis. So basically I started competing in 2015. I did my own preps. I didn't lose a shit ton of weight because I was never like overweight or anything like that, but I got lean. I was getting into weight training. That was around the same time where I was pro wrestling. So I really wanted to like start having a really incredibly active lifestyle and be able to like get on WWE and really be able to do the damn thing, you know? And then the year went on. I mean, I'm going to get a little girly and graphic, but I lost my period for an entire year. And then I wound up competing up until early 2016. And at that point, my body was just done responding. Like, I don't know what had happened over the course of that year, but basically the insane hormone fluctuation, something like that, something went haywire inside my body and it just stopped responding in 2016. So I took a break away from competing. I was kind of just like over it at that point. I had to figure out what I was doing. And a year went by, no period. Another year went by, it came back with a vengeance. So then for two years, I kind of just every month was in a living hell. Like it's hard to explain to people that haven't ever dealt with like the worst cramps you have ever dealt with in your life, but it feels like rocks and razors are traveling through my stomach like that. So I knew something was wrong. Like, you know, your body tells you a million ways that something's wrong and like you fight everything. You want to keep going, you want to keep pushing, you want to keep trying, and then eventually it just shuts down. So I was at a point where I had no choice but to go to a specialist to go see my doctor. And they wound up doing an ultrasound, and that turned into, oh my God, you have to rush to the hospital, you need emergency surgery. So in that surgery is where they discovered I had endometriosis, because unfortunately, another bad thing about endometriosis is you need to have a laparoscopic surgery to detect it. So it's not something that you can find on an ultrasound or something that your doctor could tell you you have. You have to actually be in enough pain and have something happen where they have to go in and then are able to see on the cameras and the little things that there's something going on more. So that was last summer. At that point, I had no choice but to, you know, it was a blessing in disguise that that first doctor I saw opened me up and was like, I got to stitch her back up. She has to go see someone else, because they told me that if they would have operated and they saw that I had a cyst on one of my ovaries that was 8 centimeters long. So they were like, if we were to have taken that off, you were going to lose your ovaries. You were never going to have kids. That was not going to be a possibility for you. And you're 31 years old. So we obviously don't want to just rip that from you with one snip, you know? So I had to go see a specialist, and that turned into another surgery. So the odds of me like naturally having children are pretty slim to none at this point. I'm on like a bunch of medicines, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because now I feel like I don't have that like pending biological clock telling me like, all right, you're 31, it's time to buckle down and have a kid. And like, I can kind of like focus on competing and like get back to it, because I feel good right now. Like it's a day-to-day thing. You know, some days are awful. I'm sitting on the floor, like writhing in pain. And other days I could run 12 miles and I'm fine, you know? So it's really just like, you got to take it as every day comes and then, you know, just make the best of it. And that's what I'm trying to do at this point. I'm trying to just show people that like, some days I am super suffering and I'm in a lot of pain, but like, that doesn't stop me on the other days. And like, You just gotta like take whatever you can and like run with it. Like that, I don't know, like it's hard to explain unless you're in the situation, but something I always tell girls, because like every time I talk to people about it, women or, you know, even guys, they're like, you know, this sounds like my girlfriend, like this sounds like my sister, this sounds like someone I know, like her periods are so bad, she's in so much pain. And I'm always like, oh my God, like I wish there was a way that these doctors could detect this in these girls, because to have an undiagnosed disease for 8 to 10 years possibly, and it's just ravaging your system and you have no idea, and then by the time you find out, it's too late, you know. So like there has to be a way like in the future that these doctors can detect it earlier without having to go in invasively and do it through a surgery. Or so I don't know if competing somehow led to having this disease, like
That's
the
what
insane
I was gonna ask you. Did the doctor say is it a genetic thing or?
they have no idea. They literally have no idea. They don't know if it's genetic. They don't, like, I have no history in my family of anything like that. So there's nothing on my side genetically that I would know of. It's just like, I don't know, like literally that's the worst part about it, is like, if I could pinpoint like, all right, I messed up and I did this and that's what caused it, like it would kind of like bring a little like closure to it. But like, it's just a friggin' mystery, and it's turned my life upside down, you know. And like now I'm like stuck with it, and like it's one of those diseases that I will have throughout my life. There's no cure, it's
They
not going
can't take it
anywhere.
out and remove it completely,
So
or?
that's the thing, they say that, you know, women can get a full hysterectomy and get completely wiped out and you'll still have endometriosis, because it affects different body parts, and it basically like grows like lesions all over your body like a cancer would. And those lesions become painful and they stretch, and it's just like every movement. And that's why like you feel like everything inside just friggin' hurts. Like it's your entire lower abdominal area, like down to like peeing is just like uncomfortable, or like, you know, I could twist and bend wrong and I'm seeing stars. Like, so the fact that I'm feeling good lately and I'm able to train and I'm able to like do it as hard as I can, like is like a blessing. And I really want to like take it as far as I can while I still can, because I feel like I haven't wasted like 5 years since last time I competed, because like a lot has happened since then. But like that entire time I was wishing I was like still prepping and still like doing it, and like why did I stop, and yeah, I should have kept going. So like I feel like I have a second chance to kind of like see what I can do, and like I don't know, now I have a story to go with it. So
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. You know, that you could get back into it. But now, do you think that anything like any supplements or anything, are there any days that are worse than others, or that have you like tracked it that maybe something might be triggering it to be more painful than another day?
so I have noticed that like coffee affects me incredibly, which sucks because I love coffee. I love going to Dunkin' Donuts, and you know, I start my mornings like that. But like energy drinks won't affect me. So I don't think it's a caffeine thing. I think it's like a coffee thing. I haven't noticed any specific foods or anything like that that have affected it. But I do know that when I had first, because it's been like a process throughout this past year to kind of test different medicines and see what works for me. And, you know, like it's all trial and error, because what works amazingly for one woman may not work at all for me. So like you have to kind of try these things. So I know in the beginning when I was put on like a regular birth control, I gained like 15 pounds in like 1 month, and I was still in a shit ton of pain. So like nothing helped in terms of that. And I was like hardly eating anything because I just had no appetite. I was in so much pain. And then they took me off that. And now I'm on this incredibly expensive drug called Oralissa. And I'm on something called norethindrone. So basically those two have been like allowing me to get by. You know what I mean? Like I said, my doctor told me that for me, surgery is always an option. So I could come in and say, listen, I've been feeling a little uncomfortable, I want to go in for a surgery. They'll take me in, they'll do what they got to do, and then I go back on and live my life for the next year or so. But I don't want to have to keep doing that, because I have 4 little scars on my stomach as it is. And every time I go in, it's a risk that they may have to give me a C-section and do it. Like, so that's a chance I sign off on when I sign all those paperworks going into surgery. You know, like you may come out a lot different than you went in, and you're allowing us to do that for if it's what's best for your health. So I'm just like avoiding surgery at this point. Thank God.
Now they prescribe you with painkillers and stuff too, as well, or
No
none of that?
painkillers or nothing like that. They told me that it's like a nerve pain, so
Mhm.
painkillers aren't gonna treat that the same way it would treat other types of pains. I mean, like coming out of surgery, they gave me painkillers, but it was just like a 2 day worth like supply, and then after that, I've kind of been on these two medicines. But I believe, like, I'm not even 100% sure what these medicines are supposed to be doing. My doctor put me on them because he says that they're supposed to help manage the pain in a very specific way. Like the Orilissa is made specifically for endometriosis. So with that, I don't even know what it's supposed to be doing or controlling or anything like that. But if I had gone in probably for a surgery, they would be able to compare last year versus what they're seeing now, and see how the drugs have related to that. Um, but I mean, like I said, I didn't even know I was in need of a last minute surgery until one day I was like hunched over in incredible pain, and I was like, I have to go to the doctor. Like, this isn't right. But I had gone God knows how long with this happening inside of me and not even knowing or being in enough pain to really do anything. So that could be happening right now is my point. Like I don't know unless I go in for a surgery and then they say, "Oh, this is what we got to deal with this time." So
So it's really kind of hard to detect in a sense, right? Is basically what you're saying. And as far as like other
action
women,
unless you go in for surgery. That's why so
yeah,
many girls wind up in my position, like with a severe condition of it, and then it's too late to like turn back. Like for me, things like egg freezing are on the table, and like that's probably like IVF is probably the only way I'll be able to like have children if I ever want to have kids. I already had to have one of my fallopian tubes removed because it was just ravaged in endometriosis. There was no saving it. So like things like that are just like, it's heartbreaking. Like my entire life, I never grew up as one of those girls that was like, oh my God, I can't wait to have kids. I can't wait to be a mom. Like some girls really just dream about that. And that's their like sole purpose in life is to be a mom. And I was never like that. But now that like that idea has kind of been ripped out from under me, you kind of just like, did I want that all along? Like now that I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to have it's like you kind of have to mourn the loss of something you didn't know if you actually ever wanted. But I'm just gonna like give it up to God, and like what's meant to be will be. I was meant to go down this journey for some reason, and I'll find it out along the way. And like, I would be open if it got to the point where I fell in love with some guy, and like I would adopt if I had, if
yeah,
that's really
yeah.
what I needed to do to fulfill some like hole I have in my soul. Like if I needed a kid, I would totally love to like change some child's life that was given like a not fair shot. That would be an amazing experience. So maybe that's what I was meant to do this for, like to change some little kid's life that I don't even know about. It could be anything. I just gotta, this
Wow.
is my journey. This is my friggin' experience.
I think you're meant to get the WWE
Dude,
championship.
listen, if I could talk about what WWE has done to me and how they have royally like fucked me, I can probably sit on here for 2 hours and tell that story. Like WWE is still the most heartbreaking breakup of my life, like straight up. Underneath this shirt, ironically, I have my Tough Enough
Oh
friggin' shirt on.
wow.
Um, like wrestling is what got me into fitness realistically, because I would go to training and be like, they call it running the ropes. So like during like practice and training, you're running from one side of the ropes to the next and you're bouncing off and you're running and you're
You got
running.
to take a bump.
I have to take a bump. Are you kidding me? Like, have
Wait,
you
so
ever
who
seen any of my
you
videos?
you were in Tough Enough or no?
So yeah, I wasn't a
Wait,
contestant
who?
in Tough
Al
Enough.
Snow? Like Al Snow back in the day? Like how?
I wasn't a contestant. No, I wasn't a contestant in Tough Enough. I think I met Al Snow a couple times. I'm pretty sure I was on a couple shows with him or at shows where he was and stuff. I definitely think that. They always say don't meet your heroes. It's very true. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a video or a picture. I think I creeped your page a little bit with actual Jim Duggan. That was pretty cool, right?
Oh yeah, that was
What
2015. Yeah.
what
I think
league were you in?
2016.
What wrestling league was that? Is that
So that was, I think, GCW. So it's like the independent circuit, though. Like basically, it's your unsigned talent until WWE signs you, or one of the bigger guys. I don't even know if Impact is around at this point, but now it's
yeah,
AEW. So
yeah,
they're
yeah,
the next up and coming federation. But like for the independent circuit, you're kind of just like hustling and like getting on a show where you can, and like, you know, traveling, and you know, they call it like making towns, and like you're basically like riding in a car with 6 smelly guys after a show for 6 hours to the next town, and like you're parking at 5 in the morning, like getting up, go to the gym, go to another show. It's like, it's a lifestyle. It really is. Those guys
Yeah.
are on the road like 200 days a year. It's crazy.
And your character, were you a heel or a face character?
I was,
So,
what do you think?
I think a heel.
Yeah, I was a heel. I was the femme fatale.
Are you gonna cut us a promo?
No, absolutely not, because I have like no voice right now for some reason. But yeah, no, I loved being a heel. Like I would yell at little kids at shows. Like I made everyone hate me, but like I had a like sex appeal. So like although you wanted to hate me, like you really couldn't, you know? So like it was an amazing way to like come in. Like my thing was always like I just come to ruin the day. Like really, like I'm just coming, I'm intervening in a match. I'm gonna like throw a low blow or something stupid, and like, you know, like who otherwise should have won, making the other guy win, just like, you know, jumping on the ropes, getting the ref's attention just to distract for 2 seconds, like stupid, silly shit. But I did take a superplex off the top rope one time onto like a crowd of guys, and like that was a pretty amazing experience, because like the pop that the crowd got, like it was all just worth it to hear like the entire audience just like, oh, because like I came in that show just like the bitch, you know, like I was the only girl. It was a big like 6-guy tag team match or something like that. So like I was the only girl with my boy Pinky, and like I came out like my shit don't stink, and like I just like, you know, I distracted the refs. I did everything I had to do. So by the time the dude who I was messing up the match, like they grabbed me by the hair, they ripped me up the top. I'm selling it. I'm like making, you know, and then you take the big bump, and then the crowd goes nuts, hurting,
That's
you
awesome.
leave, and then you go home.
That's so cool that you're a part of something like that. So are you still gonna go for that, or it's now what do you?
No.
I know you work for another company, right, or something like that.
I work at Techie Geeks. So we're a tech company. We're a bunch of geeks. We do IT and stuff like that. But yeah, no, wrestling is probably done for me at this point. I don't see the need to put my like body on the line and like risk everything just for nothing. Like they don't even take care of their own athletes, WWE and stuff like that. It's really not worth it. I don't have that insane passion for pro wrestling like I do for like competing. So it's definitely like a smarter route for me to go down. It's definitely a healthier route too.
So as far as competing and stuff, maybe you could like walk us through like the preparation and dedication that it takes in it, and like especially, you know, you fighting and battling this, what would you call it? A disease, right?
Yeah, it's a chronic disease. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like how do you work around that?
I mean, so this is my first prep I'll be doing since I got diagnosed. Right now at this point, I guess I'm kind of on prep. I'm like 16 weeks out from the show I want to do. So I'm not really like full steam ahead yet. Like that's probably like around 12 weeks, because I feel like I'm not incredibly far off where I need to be, but it's going to be, I mean, this is the prep that's going to like be able to show if like I'm able to do this or not realistically, because it's all going to be like on a day-to-day basis how I feel. Like at this point, I've been able to wake up early every single morning and get to the gym before I go to work, which has been amazing, because I know myself, once I leave work, it's a drag to like get my butt to the gym for like 8 o'clock and have a great training session at that, and you know, like have the energy to do all that. So when I first like the gyms opened back up in New York, and I was like, all right, it's time to go back to the gym. Like it's time to like dabble in this. Very quickly after being back in the gym, I was like, I want to compete again. Like, because that was also around the same time where I had a conversation with my doctor, and I kind of realized personally right now, like doing the egg freezing route is not on the table. It's just too expensive. I cannot do that. And I'm single. There's no reason for me to really do that right now. So I now that kind of gave me the green light to be like, all right, you could focus on yourself a little and do this competing thing. So this time around, like I'm planning on doing, I've been on meal plan. Like I've been doing everything to a T that I possibly humanly can to like make sure that this prep is as easy and smooth as possible. Like I'm not trying to do anything drastic or anything ridiculous, not waiting till the last minute to start like throwing in massive amounts of cardio or like manipulating silly things. Like I want my body to be like healthy and have longevity in the sport, because I do want to go pro and I want to like compete on that pro level. And if I blow out my body in 6 months just trying to get to the show, I'm not ready then. Like, so if in 16 weeks the show comes around and I'm not like peaked and at my optimal physique and like eating my way into that show, I can wait. Like, I've waited for 4 years as it is. There's no rush to get on that stage. It's always going to be there. So like, I'd rather come up to a show and know that I undeniably look my best and like there's nothing more I could have done, and then just show up for the sake of showing up, just to like, because I told my social media I'm 12 weeks out or whatever. Like, it's not worth it. I have time, you know, like no one's judging me but myself, if I want to put it that way. Like,
So what is your like set and rep range and meals kind of look like for when you're competing?
I typically like to do, I mean, it does depend on the body part and like, I don't know, like how close I am to a show, because like strength level is important. But at this point, like in my prep, I like to do 4 sets, probably 10 to 15 reps, increasing weight every set. So like, I'll start at a comfortable weight, and then increase weight every single set. And then towards the last couple reps, like I need to be like scraping to get those out, or else the weight's not heavy enough, because I want to be like full and I want to be bubbly. And like, I feel like on my physique, if I just do incredible amounts of volume, like 25 reps, and then like lighter weight, just so you could get them out, I look a little bit more stringy, and I'm always been on the thinner side. So like, I need to like lift heavy so that I could eat and like hold on to whatever I can gain, because, you know, I'm a natural athlete. It's not easy just as it is to gain muscle. So for me, that this has just been what works best for me. But I know a lot of women, like it's totally different. So like with bodybuilding, I always like to like let people know, you got to find what works for you. If you're going to go to the gym and hate your entire time you're there, you probably not doing a workout that's going to like benefit you. Like if you're half-assing it and you're just like, oh, I just got to do this, like you're not going to see any changes and you're going to want to leave. You know, like I like going to the gym because that makes me feel like I got a damn good workout in. Like I got my body to a point where like I'm pumped, I feel great, I'm ready to go. Also, you can't like, it's a big thing to like realize like how the science of muscle building really happens if you want maximum results. Because I do have a lot of people that have been messaging me saying, how did you like change your body so quick? Like, I feel like you just started weight training again. And it's like, you look incredibly like different than you did just like a couple of months ago. And I'm like, because going to the gym is like what's breaking your muscle down, but that's not what's making you grow.
Yeah.
When you go home and you sleep and you eat, that's what's making you grow, and that's what's making those like you look better. So like, you going to the gym and feeling like you need to stay there and like weight train just because you need to reach a 2-hour time maximum like to get your best workout, and you may not be at that point. You may be just like losing muscle realistically because you're not like fueled properly. Like there's so many things that go into it that people don't always, I guess, think about.
Now, it seems that like everybody who competes is doing high volume. Every person that I spoke to, and I mean, 10 to 15 reps, isn't that a decent amount of volume?
I guess, yeah. I just feel like that's like bodybuilder volume. Like those are pretty like typical bodybuilding sets. I feel like, I don't know. That's something that.
Do you ever go to like 4 to 6 reps or heavy like that, or not really?
I'll do stuff like, I don't necessarily like, that won't be my full workout, put it that way. Like if I do a set like that, that's because I want to throw in an additional set at a heavier weight because I'm feeling good and I'm like, forget, let's try, you know, and see what we could get out. And then I'll do a set like that, like at the total end. But for me, it's just like not, it doesn't feel like enough. You know what I mean? And I am a stickler for form. So I'd rather get 15 reps at a comfortable weight with perfect form than have to like be using momentum or body weight just to get the weight up, just to hit it, you know, like at 4. Doesn't make sense.
I'm just trying to get my legs a little bigger. I can't. I have like these chicken legs, and today I did legs, and I did a ridiculous amount of volume. I do 50 reps, 6. Then I did 50. Then I cut it in half to 25. Then 16, 12, 10, and then I did 6 and 4.
So
So
that's a
it's a
lot
lot.
for
It's a lot.
legs.
I
That's a
know, but
lot for
they don't
legs.
grow. They don't
And
grow.
that's the thing too, is like it does depend on the muscle fibers that you're trying to train. Like things like shoulders, you do want to do at a higher volume because that's how the muscles are built. And like it's dependent on that. So like the legs are larger muscle groups. You do need to train them heavier and probably shorter. There's because you want to go as heavy as you can with legs. So there's no way at 25 reps you're going as heavy as you can.
No,
Like
no way. But the thing is, when I used to do like whatever, like 4 to 6 to 8 reps or whatever, it just doesn't work for me. It's just not
that's too
growing.
little. You gotta find then you gotta do your 10 to 12 like me, like you gotta find what works for you because if
Yeah.
neither you're seeing differences in, like I don't know what you're doing like food wise either, but like obviously like your carbs go around your leg days. If you're trying to like
Mhm.
get maximum gains with your nutrition, like
Yeah.
that's just something that goes without saying, like and I don't know, it's friggin' hard to gain muscle. It's not a joke. Like
You know.
takes years and lots of time and consistency
And
and
your
patience.
what are your meals like? What's like a? It's probably like a day for your meals.
I'm pretty like routine. I pretty much have the same thing like every day. I have 40 grams of oatmeal in the morning with 5 egg whites and a tablespoon of peanut butter. That's my breakfast every day. And then usually for like lunch slash third meal, like because I eat those two at work, I have like 4 ounces of chicken with both meals, and I'll have a vegetable. So like either green beans or broccoli or something, Brussels sprouts, peas and carrots. I don't know, some sort of vegetable, and I'll throw in a carb. So typically it's either sweet potatoes or jasmine rice. But yesterday I did make some red potatoes, so I was really enjoying those today. And then that's pretty much when I get home, I'll have one of those again. And then for nighttime, I have an insane sweet tooth, so I have to crave that somehow. So so I'll always do a protein shake at night with like 2 rice cakes with a little peanut butter on top, and that's like enough for me to go to bed and feel like satiated.
And what about the cardio? How much cardio in a day?
I don't do a lot of cardio. I let like my training and my diet do that for me. And then that's something I kind of take as I get closer to a show and start implementing. Cause like that's just another tool for me, like to get my body where it needs to be. Like if my diet isn't doing that for me, or like I'm dieting and then I plateau, that's when you introduce cardio. So at this point, I really don't. I do like 25 minutes a day in the morning, 20 minutes in the
That's pretty
morning,
good though. That's not bad.
sometimes 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I just do it to like get my body warmed up before I train.
I always
And
thought the heart was the biggest muscle in the body.
maybe
The heart, right? You got to train the heart, don't you?
what the glutes were, to be honest, but I really don't know. And then I was thinking it was the quad, but then I'm like, no, I'm thinking of the femur as the biggest bone. So it's definitely.
And what
But
about?
yeah, I think cardio I don't do a lot, but I'm gonna start increasing it now that I'm obviously getting closer to a show. I enjoy doing cardio, but I don't want my body to get like used to doing a lot of cardio, because that way when I have to do the cardio to introduce it, I'm gonna have to do that much more, because your body adapts. And it, if it realizes you're going to be running every single day for 3 miles in the morning, like it wants to get as efficient at that as it can. So the most efficient way to do that is to drop muscle, because your muscle weighs a lot more than fat. Why would you start losing your body fat? It wants you to run every day. So you got to be smart with how your body is like incorporating certain things like cardio. I mean, high intensity like HIIT training can be great to maintain muscle. Also great to lose fat, and it just really does depend where your body is at as well.
Yeah, I did a lot of cardio this summer, being that, like the gyms and everything was like with the whole virus and everything. And I mean, I got really lean, but not big. Like I probably lost some muscle.
You get one or the other. You can get really big or really lean.
Yeah. And what about like
gifted one.
cutting the water like before the show, or like do you have to do anything like that? Like sit in the sauna?
I don't, and I've never done anything like that before a show. I don't really know a lot of bikini girls that do, because bikini is like your lowest end of the bodybuilding spectrum. So like you gotta like, I don't know, like obviously like there are some coaches out there that are training bodybuilders and like classic physique guys, and then they'll throw a bikini girl in the mix and then like think that they know how to coach for bikini. And it's such a like different world when you have a bikini girl, like what the judges are realistically looking for. And they're not looking for a girl who's like pulling water, who looks gaunt and like sunken in. And, you know, there's different reasons people pull water and manipulate things like sodium or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like I said, I have never been someone to like rush myself into a show. So if I'm at the point where I have to manipulate that sort of thing, I'm not ready and I will wait, you know?
And what about I see you have a sleeve tattoo. I just want to know if that has anything to do with working out or anything with wrestling, and if they judge you hard on that, does that have to do with anything with the scoring?
I don't believe it does. But at the same time, I am making the conscious decision to not color my sleeve in yet because I don't want to weigh the risk of losing like definition when you're on stage and things like that. Like maybe I am like taking this a little too serious to that level, but I have a full sleeve, like you said, like, so if my arm is shaded in black and like in very weird fragmented spots, when you're on stage, you don't know how that's going to look. So at least at this point when it's just the outline, once I have the tan done, it doesn't really look like a tattoo anymore. It kind of just bleeds in with the tan, except for like the darker part on the bottom. But I don't want to weigh the risk, like, because for me, like, I just feel more comfortable and confident at this point to just leave it as it is. But there are some girls on the pro stage or the national stage that have their entire bodies covered in tattoos, and some of them place well and some of them don't. And, you know, I've heard podcasts, I think with one of the head judges, Becky Clausen, who has said at this point, she doesn't even see tattoos when people are on stage. Like, they're not like, it doesn't even stick out to them anymore unless it's something probably absurd or vulgar or large. Obviously you can't miss it, but your normal sleeve or like rib tattoo or something, they're not noticing, they're not judging, they're not, you know, taking points for you for that. If it's part of your look, like, you got to own it. Like,
and so do your tattoos have a certain meaning to you?
I kind of just got a Japanese sleeve because I am part Japanese. So I just wanted to kind of get something that was cool, that kind of reflected my, like, that part of my heritage, because I think that the art is incredibly beautiful. And so my family says my like great grandparents or something like that were the head gardeners for the Emperor of Japan. So that apparently meant that like they would live in the royal palace and they were like kind of treated with that regard and respect, because the Japanese gardens are like revered and they're like one of the most beautiful things in the world. So I got like the girl with the garden and like her flowers and like just flowers and stuff up my sleeve.
That's cool. Did it hurt? Did it hurt?
I mean, it felt great. Razors dragging through my skin. I love it every day.
Did it hurt worse than the pain that you deal with?
No, that is like one of the worst pains. But I still think that like tooth pain tops everything. Like there's nothing worse than like having a toothache or something like that, and like you're just in excruciating pain. Like I think that still tops all the pains I've ever felt.
All right, well, Christina, we'll wrap it up over here. I'm so glad that you shared like your story and you're super cool. And I'm definitely like, if you ever wanted to do like a workout or a video or something, definitely let me know, because I'm dying to do one. I want to get an actual workout video before the gym shut down completely.
I really hope they don't shut down. Like I saw some like meme today or some like graphic that gyms are closing down, and I'm like immediately on Google, New York City gyms shutting November, like Googling like if it's for us or not. I don't know. They better not close. That's all I have to say at this point, because I am just getting back into my groove and like doing so good that I will like want to jump in front of a bus.
Well, thank you again, and have a great rest of your night.
For sure. Thank you again. Bye, guys.